sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Greenway moves in. Centers, they score! Carson to Brodin, a drive. It was blocked, they score! In the middle, Eriksson Ek, a chance. Kaprizov hit the post, they score! Loose puck out front, Eriksson Ek, scores! Zuccarello moving in to Kaprizov, he scores! Kaprizov in, he scores! And there's the hat trick! Production from their big boys, got some big saves from Marc-Andre Fleury when they ended up. We're able to tie this series up at 1, and we're headed to St. Louis.
Wave
Get
it.
the flag.
It's about winning towel. I got the towel.
It's about hard work and having. No, it's not.
No.
It's about
no.
believing, winning.
The towels are back.
You
Forget the
damn
old
right it's
towel.
about winning.
That got put away.
I need to hear it.
Here it is.
I need to hear it. I need to hear it straight from the man.
Listen, you guys know what this is all about, right? Right? What's it all about? Spurgey?
Hard work and having fun.
That. This is about winning.
Here it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. All righty.
We are
Big
back.
win last night. You know what? In fact, it's time for a wardrobe change.
Oh, we're taking the North Stars hat off. We're putting the Wild hat on. Look
That's
at
a
this guy
wild
right
hat.
here. We
How
got
many
the
times
Wild
has
hat.
Judd wore a wild hat?
Got this
First
last
time,
night.
first
Got this
time I've
last
ever.
night.
Is
It was
it a
free.
trucker hat? Wait, you got a koozie and a trucker hat last night?
I got a trucker hat. I got a koozie. I got the
Dude.
towel.
Turn your head to the side.
Let's see.
Which side?
Oh, look at the shield, the
It is
NHL
kind of a-
shield on the side. That's a pretty cool hat.
That's a nice hat. I like that hat.
Hat, dude. Look at. I mean, it takes a lot to get Judd from basically burying this team after game 1 to then turning in his North Stars hat for a Wild hat and koozie after game 2. What a turnaround! Who had a bigger turnaround, the Wild themselves or Judd Zulgad's take on the series? That's my question.
The bandwagon. I'm back on it, baby. Woo! We're taking off. All
Judd
right.
chasing the bandwagon around the neighborhood like I was chasing our 3-year-old new adopted dog around the neighborhood yesterday. It's great. 20 minutes of Judd chasing and 20 minutes of old Macadac chasing.
All right.
The Hockey Whisperer was watching intently last night with a drink in hand. And you guys have the full recap. You can find the Judd's Hockey Show Ventline Edition on the Mackie and Judd podcast feed, Score North YouTube channel, et cetera, et cetera. But the Hockey Whisperer has brought 6 observations for you guys here. And you can sort of correct him if you would like to, but these are 6 observations from the Hockey Whisperer. Starting with this one. If Kirill Kaprizov continues to be that active, I don't expect the results to... The hat trick is great, but he's not going to get a hat trick. And you might get another hat trick at some point. But, like, it's the activity, it's the process that the Hockey Whisperer loves about Kaprizov. And, you know, in the NBA, they've got the assist-to-turnover ratio, right? Chris Paul's very good at that. He's very good at being efficient and setting up his teammates and not turning them over. Kaprizov last night, forget about the hat trick. He had 8 shot attempts, 0 giveaways, and was an absolute just puck hog in a good way, keeping the puck away from Blues players. If he's going to continue to be that active and that efficient, the Wild are going to win the series and they're going to make a run. He's the best player on the ice in this series, and he's going to be one of the best players on the ice in any series that they play. So he was very high on Kirill Kaprizov's huge performance last night.
I'd actually make the argument, which is pretty impressive, that I think Joel Eriksson Ek was actually the best player on the ice last night for the Wild. Offensively and defensively, you know, Kirill was able to come through, gets the hat trick on the empty netter. That's great. But to be honest, that line still has not clicked. Like, Hartman I thought was a mess yesterday. Zuccarello has been kind of not a detriment, but a little unnoticeable. But this is what your superstar players can do, right? When that line isn't clicking, Kirill can still kind of carry things and get big time goals. And yes, you needed to see your superstar player rise up in a playoff game, and he was able to do that yesterday.
Can I give you, though, Phil, to your point, one like snapshot?
Phil or the Whisper? Which
night.
one are you
Who are
addressing?
you talking to?
Okay.
Yeah, who are you talking to?
I'm sorry.
Phil's over here concocting D'Angelo Russell trades. So
Phil's
I can get him if you want.
Phil's dog is running around. We can't find
You know,
the
I found the
dog.
more that you chase and run after your dog, the more that they just keep running away from you.
Right, but
Yeah.
you have to. But you
Same
have
applies
to, try
to
and get
women
him back.
as well. You gotta be careful.
That's true. You got to play it cool.
Go there.
You got to play it
Well,
cool.
that took a turn. That took a big turn. I just wanted to whisper. I would just like to back up your point though with the play last night. That the difference from not only game one, but for you Wolves fans, the difference from the Wolves as well. Okay, so like this is what your best players do when your best players are doing the right things. Because it's one thing to be ultra talented. It's another to combine that talent with a calm, smart decision. Right. The second goal of the night last night at 11:47 of the third period for Kaprizov. It's 4-2. And we talked about this on the late night Judd's hockey show last night. A lot of us were like, oh, it's going to be 4-3 soon. Blues are buzzing. Blues are really good. They're buzzing, right? And it's like, this is where it happens. Minnesota sports, they're going to make it 4-3. Now they're going to pull their goaltender. It's going to be 4-4. Perron, who had the hat trick on Monday night, has the puck in the Wild zone. Kaprizov calmly picks his pocket, takes it away.
Kaprizov.
Unlike Monday night, though, he doesn't try and take the puck end to end in the big rush. He passes to Zuccarello. Zuccarello skates it out. Kaprizov comes with him. Now it's a 2-on-1.
Palmerville?
Stop. Don't. No more of that. No more of those guys. Give me new names. And then Zuccarello on the 2-on-1 feeds Kirill, and he scores a gorgeous goal. But like that's the 180 from like D'Lo heaving up a stupid shot, right? Like, because Kaprizov could have tried to be I'm gonna be a puck hog. He wasn't. So like that to me is such a telltale sign of like the difference in smarts between game one and game two. And that's where a star player can really, I think, show that he is engaged and he's making the right decision.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part too about the little Lepanta isms is now our Wild fans on Ventline are joining us in doing that. We had about 5 to 6 different fans that came on, and we're also doing the same thing. So that this is catching on. This is not
People
just
wonder,
Mackie
like,
and Judd
why do
production.
you guys just shout out random names? I don't know. It was several years ago we realized, and Lepanta's not the only one that does this. Pretty much all hockey play-by-play guys, not named Doc Emmerich, just call out the player's name as the puck cycles around, right? So it's just sorry for ruining this for you going forward, but hockey play-by-play is just a series of shouting out names.
It's difficult.
Spurgeon over to Dumba. Dumba cycles it into so-and-so. So-and-so over to so-and-so. Like, it's just... And the radio, too, is even... Like, radio, you have to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Anyhow, the second observation from the Hockey Whisperer, and Declan kind of hijacked this one, which is fine. Eriksson Ek was one of the most effective players on the ice last night. He's one of the busiest players on the ice, and the productivity obviously showed up with 2 goals, an assist, and a team lead. Depending on the sites you look at, ESPN had him with 2 hits. A couple of the analytics sites had him with 5 hits. But either way, he's not elite at anything in particular necessarily, but he's just very active. He's just a good, solid grinder hockey player is what the Hockey Whisperer observes.
And guys like that who have a bit of a clutch gene, which Ek has, they elevate in the playoffs. Their style of play translates better to now. Like, they're good in January, they're fine, but in a game like last night, because he's got some skill, but he works his ass off. And when you combine those two things, and he probably takes his game up just a notch, right? Eriksson Ek is the type of player every team that's going to make a playoff run needs, because they go from being a reliable, really good player to being sort of like a clutch player, because that first goal, which, by the way, changed the entire game. Whisperer, it changed the entire game. The Wild was playing terrible for 9:22 or what. Before that goal was scored, they didn't have a shot. They couldn't pass. They looked lost. Bortuzzo, the Blues defenseman, his stick blows up. Greenway picks up the puck and feeds Ek. But you know what? That goal was scored from a greasy place where you get your butt knocked out. Like, you can get your block knocked off. But Eriksson Ek was right there. Eriksson Ek is the type of player that you really, really need, because I would argue he's more productive in May than probably November.
Yeah. Well, you've actually segued perfectly into the third Hockey Whisperer observation here, which is that the Wild clearly made a point coming off Game 1 to crash the net, especially on the power play early in the game. Well, the first 10 minutes are kind of a disaster, but like once they figured things out,
yes,
Now, the Whisperer does feel like Fiala may have gotten screwed out of a goal, and that
he did.
Phil Mackey may have gotten screwed as a result out of a home run parlay. So hopefully they go back and look at that thing. Fiala definitely got a stick on that puck. I don't know why they reversed that. Back to the Hockey Whisperer. That was a great example of, okay, it's muddy, it's noisy in front of the net, so Kaprizov, Fiala, and Ek was Ek the third guy in that mix. They're all in there poking and jamming and just... Yeah. And you know what? When you poke and you jam and the puck might get covered, that's when, like you said, you can get your block knocked off. You can't care. You're going to have to score a goal or two like that in these games if you want to win. And so crashing the net and just being active led to a greasy goal. It was great.
My towel says it's about winning, it's about Fiala being credited with a goal.
Well, unless you're trying to win, write that down points.
Yeah, I also had
parlay.
My friends at Underdog Fantasy, also ruined my pick'em parlay because that was taken away. So actually, I have 2 of the 3 members of the show got that screwed over. And by the way, that's the second most important thing outside of winning is those things happening. So
is it possible they could overturn that today and right the wrong?
I got bad news,
you
guys.
But they won't.
I saw that replay as well. I think Husso hit the puck before Fiala did. So if it crossed the line at that point, it is Kaprizov's goal.
So it went Kaprizov off Husso's skate or whatever.
Husso went back to try and get it out, and he jammed at the puck accidentally, and I think it crossed the line, and then Fiala hit it in the net. That's no longer a goal for Kevin Fiala.
Okay. Another
I'm sorry
segue.
You guys were inconvenienced by what was a great night, Whisperer. A great night.
Well, listen, when you've got stakes on Underdog Fantasy and you also have stakes on Write That Down, you want goals to be scored a particular way. Okay.
Yeah.
My team didn't help me either.
Okay, you've segued again into an observation here.
That's what I do.
Husso is who we thought he was.
My man.
Okay. And I don't want to denigrate a guy who had a really good regular season. This was his first full season as a regular starting goalie in the NHL. And he had a nice little shutout in Game 1, and that's great. But he's not Dominic Hasek. He's not Jonathan Quick. He's not Jean-Sebastien Giguère from 2003. You can score on this guy.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And you know what? He played great in Game 1. Deserves full credit for that. But as the old Mike Tyson line goes, everybody has a plan until they get punched.
That's right.
He gave up that goal. That building exploded. I will continue to say this. For any problems I have with some of the fan base here sometimes being too positive and not being realistic, these fans in the playoffs bring it. That building last night and Husso sucks. And you know what? This guy, second playoff game ever, it impacted him.
Yeah, I wasn't in love with the tempo of that chant.
It's not a good name.
I don't like. His name's fine because it's 2 syllables. I don't like making sucks 2 syllables.
Right. No, but
it should just be Husso sucks. Husso sucks.
But Crawford,
and they did the 2 syllables on the sucks. You know?
I liked Crawford because the sing song was so good, right? Crawford. Exactly.
Yeah. Also, we also do wild when we do Let's Go Wild is wild. Let's go wild. It's wild. Why are we
go wild? But it's weird the other way too. Let's go wild. Let's go wild.
It as I get my camera back on, but
yes, let's go North Stars. See that fits?
Yeah, North Stars.
That rolls right off the tongue.
Don't start with me. Don't get me on. I'm being positive today about the Wild.
All right, observation number 5 from the Hockey Whisperer, and you guys might take issue with this one, but Marc-Andre Fleury played well last night, but the blue line deserves even more credit. And let me tell you why. The Blues were credited with 46 shot attempts last night, okay? 42 of the 46 shot attempts were classified as low danger. 20 of the 46 shot attempts were blocked by Wild players. So sacrificing their bodies, ushering the play into low danger areas. And so in the end, Marc-Andre Fleury only had to face 4 non-danger shot attempts or non-low danger shot attempts in that game. So credit to the blue line for stepping up compared to game one, and credit to Marc-Andre Fleury for coming back and playing a good game and doing what he had to do as well. But 20 blocked shots and 42 low danger attempts. I mean, whew, you want to talk about a breezy night at the office for Marc-Andre Fleury. There you go.
I wouldn't call it breezy. He definitely made some good saves. But Phil, I'm sorry, Whisperer, you're so right. Part of what bothered me about the whole Monday game one, well, the Wild played pretty well. Look at the advanced metrics. I mean, come on, the Wild played pretty well. You got to admit, they played pretty well. In their own zone, they were terrible.
Is that how Jerry Seinfeld rants about the Wild?
Yeah, the Wild. They're terrible.
Oh,
what's the deal with all the high danger save attempts?
What's up with Marc-Andre Fleury?
Why all the rebounds? What's wrong? So the Wild on Monday in game one, though, was in their own zone, irresponsible, pathetic at times, drove me crazy. And Fleury gave up juicy rebounds, but no one was there to clear them. And here's the thing too, Marc-Andre Fleury and rebounds ain't a new thing. It's not like, well, he always swallowed the puck up before, and tonight he has rebound problems. So I thought Dex last night was to the Whisperer's point. I thought last night was the perfect marriage of goaltender and defenseman. That's what you need. Rebound comes out, it's juicy, but guess what somebody does? They box out. This is no different than basketball too. It's boxing out. It's doing the work in the paint in basketball, right? And if you don't get rebounds in basketball, you're in trouble. Well, if your defensemen and back checkers don't get to clear the puck and get it out of the zone in hockey, you're in trouble. So I give Fleury a lot of credit. I think it was a nice bounce back game, Declan. But I also think that the Whisperer is exactly right. The defenseman played a far superior game.
Yeah, I don't think Marc-Andre Fleury's game changed that much between games 1 and 2. And you're going to look at the box score and say, what are you talking about? He allowed 5 goals in game 1, and he obviously was a lot better in game 2. No, Dean Evason literally said in the availability going into game 2, and Wild fans on Twitter are ripping him, that our defense has to clean up those rebounds. And well, Marc-Andre Fleury's got to swallow up those pucks more. Marc-Andre Fleury's going to be Marc-Andre Fleury. And yes, there's some give and take there. You can't be giving up fat ones and just putting them right on the blind side for someone like Shen to bank it on the back door. But the Wild's defense has to do its job as well. It was the same Marc-Andre Fleury, in my opinion, between games 1 and 2.
Yeah, so he's going to start game 3 now. I mean, there's no reason. He's the guy now. So unless he has a couple, I think if he has a couple back-to-back, 4 or 5 goal situations, then they might, we'll see what happens. And then observation number 6 is a little bit, I don't want it all to be just sunshine, roses. Listen, this is a series here. Okay, this is probably going 6 or 7 games. And so the last observation is a reminder going forward. The Wild are still taking too many penalties. That was one of the biggest keys going into the series, right? Which is just keep it 5-on-5 as much as you can, or keep it 5-on-5, or keep it so that you have the one-man advantage.
Yes.
They took 8 penalties last night, 17 in the series so far through 2 games. Just a little too much. I don't need to see St. Louis on the power play for 10, 12 plus minutes per night when they are that good on special teams. So
there's a couple things at work here, though. One is I think it could be statistically quantified. It appears that the National Hockey League has put out a mandate early across the board to call things. They're calling. It feels to me like in dipping into the 4 games on Tuesday as well, we're seeing a lot called, which I think is trying to set the tone for don't pull crap. In game 1, what was frustrating to watch was the Wild allowed themselves to get frustrated and took retaliatory, and that's the thing that we talked about. The retaliatory penalty where you could take 2 guys, but instead to send a message, you take 1 guy. And if it's from your team, that's a problem. What I saw last night was, with the way things are being called, they're going to take penalties. But what they didn't do last night, and it was largely because they led the entire game, was they didn't take retaliatory dumb penalties. I think it was in the second period. The whistle blew. There was sort of a scrum. A Blues player tried to engage Hartman, who the Blues clearly see, rightfully so, as a potential hothead. He batted the guy away and skated away. And that's the thing. You can't take those penalties. The Blues want you to. If you're going to get called for a hook, or something. It's going to happen right now. I think we're going to see those as these series continue. I think we're going to see less called there too. And guess what? Your penalty has to be good. Like, you can't just say, "Oh, well, our special teams have struggled." Like, okay, that's fine. Then your playoff run is done. So what we saw last night from the Wild crashing the net on the power play, and I believe the Blues on the power play themselves, after going 2 of 6 in game 1, were 1 of 5. You need to do a better job. They did last night.
Speaking of Blues trying to bait the Wild into certain things, so I think it was in the third period, and the game was pretty much decided by this point. I think it was 6-2 at the time. And a Blues player took kind of a run at Tyson Jost, and it was a legal hit. It was like Jost had the puck in front of the net, and he fired a shot, and at the same time he gets cleaned out. It just gets absolutely. It was a good, clean, hard hit, but it was a hard hit. And Jost gets up, and there's a scuffle in front of the net. And I don't remember which Blues player it was, and I'm going to replace the word that he actually used. I'm going to replace a letter. Let's say he called him a wussy, but it was a P instead of a W. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And you could see, so Blues player was calling Jost after leveling him a wussy. You're a wussy, and Jost just gets up and starts laughing at him. Yeah. I'm a wussy. You think I'm a wussy? And it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't him getting Spurgeon, I'm going to break an ankle. It was, dude, I'm a wussy. We're beating your ass right now, and you're taking cheap shots in front of the net. And he just kind of laughed at him. And I love that reaction from Jost.
But here's my thing. Do that or just skate away when you're behind, too.
Yeah.
Don't get drawn into this crap. That's what they want. That's exactly what they want. And if you take a penalty, now you're an idiot.
Yep. So there you go. Those are the 6 Hockey Whisper observations.
Wow.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Whisper!
Yes. And I'll tell you, listen, some people have doubted the Hockey Whisperer's ability to still see things clairvoyantly in the future, because the Hockey Whisperer was born predicting correctly a Game 7 double overtime winner, specifically by Nino Niederreiter. He said it would be a double overtime game and that Nino Niederreiter would win. This is now going back like 8 years. And so it's hard to live up to that. Yeah. Last night, the Whisperer told you, Game 2 Wild win, Kaprizov at least 2 points, Fiala with a goal. I think his radar was pretty honed. Got screwed by the official scorer guy, and would like to find some contact.
I'll talk to Barry Fritz for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Barry, come on.
Barry,
Bear.
What are you doing?
Bear's my guy, man. I don't know what Bear's.
How about help me out?
What's he doing, man?
What are you doing?
Anyhow, all right, speaking of being honed, it's time for old tweets exposed before we get to Doogie and some reckless speculation Thursday. Declan goes into the archives, over a decade of just embarrassing tweets from all three of us here. What do you got for us this week?
I'm going to self-report to start here. Some Wild playoff takes and hockey takes from us three.
Oh, boy.
All right, let's go to old Dex tweets. In April 25th, 2017, after the Wild were bounced by the Blues in 5, quote, "If the series went 5 and we only gave up 10 goals, I would take our chances." And me doubling down from Chuck Fletcher's statement, silencing the morons.
Who are the morons?
Because the morons as in, I was probably taking the Wild bait that they should have won that series, and Fletcher was pointing out that, hey, the way we played was okay to win, but they didn't win any of those games because they weren't peppering any high danger shots on Jake Allen. Yeah. So I was trying to think basically echo that we got robbed, and I'm championing the GM's statement.
You're basically trying to hang a banner for losing in 5 games, but we totally should have won a couple more games.
You were mad at me. You were mad at me because I said that was a bunch of garbage.
4 retweets, 8 likes.
4 retweets? Can we see who retweeted just for fun?
Oh, I bet I know who they are.
No. Did Chuck Fletcher retweet it?
No.
Did the Wild official account retweet this? Look at your little blogger buddies on here.
Yep, your blogger buddies. Yep, that's what that's exactly who I thought. Declan's right. That Zolgad sucks.
Amazing.
Oh, God,
amazing.
He does.
Okay, that's
Right.
Declan calling people morons for being mad about losing in 5 and not scoring goals at all is.
I'm very exposable, so I'm going to keep quiet on this.
All right, let's go to Phil now. Speaking of Chuck Fletcher takes.
Oh, boy.
February 27th, 2017 was thinking today on 1500 ESPN. Chuck Fletcher is a fan's dream for a GM.
Yeah.
Splashy, aggressive, stockpiles young talent, etc.
I stand by this take. He is, he does not always correct with his splashy, aggressive, and stockpiling of
I'm
young
glad he's
talent.
in Philly.
Yeah.
But so did he fire Mike Yeo here too? So this is the second time he's fired Mike Yeo,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Amazing. How about that conversation yesterday, 2 days ago? Listen, Mike, got to fire you again, buddy. Sorry. Hopefully you and your family will find a place
Keep
to land
breaking
your feet.
up. They get back together, they break up.
Okay. I don't know.
Tale's old as time.
That might have beat Declan. Well, we'll see what Judd has in store.
All right, let's go back to 2014 for Judd Zulgad with a Marc-Andre Fleury take. Marc-Andre Fleury is being asked to make some tough saves tonight. No surprise he isn't making them. This is on the Penguins executives.
He was awful
Wow,
back.
dude.
He hit a playoff cold stretch where he couldn't stop a beach ball.
Boy, but this is
I
one of
remember
the
asking
great
Louis about
goalies
this.
of our generation, and you are just dogging him here.
He was, I think this is Matt Murray replacing him. Is that right, Declan?
Probably.
At the time?
Yeah, probably. This is the Matt Murray time, yeah.
Yeah, he went through a stretch where he was not playable in the playoffs, and it's remarkable how he bounced back.
And you're ripping the Penguins executives who ended up winning like 2 more Stanley Cups after you tweeted this.
Didn't they
Billy
win a
G.
Stanley Cup that year?
They probably
they
did
won
because
in,
they
I
switched
think-
goalies. They switched goalies. This was
I believe
probably
they won
early in the playoffs.
They won back-to-back, right? So they went 16-17, I think.
All right, so they won it they won it the next year.
15, 16.
Yeah,
They won it
15,
a couple
16,
years
that's
later.
what it was,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think Fleury didn't he not play in the playoff runs too much that year? Something.
One of those he didn't. He split time with Murray.
But anyway, now in retrospect, I probably ripped Billy Gare in there. I ripped the Flower.
Yeah,
you did.
This is Old Tweets Exposed, and I have been exposed.
Okay, I don't know who takes the cake
Who
here.
wins?
Is it Judd ripping a Hall of Fame goalie and a future Wild GM?
I got no
is
problem
it
with that.
me ripping? Is it me putting Chuck Fletcher on a Mount
The
Rushmore of
dream.
GMs?
Yeah.
Or
Is it
Declan?
Declan?
This might be a wash, you guys.
3-way tie here.
This might be just a flat-out wash.
First ever 3-way tie on.
The Spider-Man pointing memes. All 3 of us are just pointing at each other. It's you. It's you. It's you.
Yep. Hey, if you're a business owner out there and you're looking to protect your Twitter account from risky tweets, well, Federated might not be able to help you, but they can help foresee risk on the horizon with over 100 years of experience in helping businesses maximize their success. They're one of us. They're based in Owatonna. They are big supporters of Minnesota sports teams throughout the city. So check them out if you're a business owner and you're looking to take your business to the next level. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, we're going to pause Doogie with a scoop session when we come back on Mackie and Judd.